Picture the vast and unforgiving waters of the Atlantic during World War II, where survival is a daily struggle and danger lurks beneath the waves. Welcome to the perilous world of U-boats, Germany's deadly submarines, where each mission could mean glory or a swift descent into the abyss. Meet Hans Fischer, a young mechanic from northern Germany, whose fascination with the sea has led him to enlist in the notorious Kriegsmarine. With the war raging, Hans is faced with a choice. Wait to be conscripted or take control of his destiny by volunteering for dangerous submarine service. At just 17, he's eager for adventure and status, unaware that the claustrophobic confines of a U-boat would turn out to be one of the most miserable postings imaginable. As Hans is thrust into the harrowing life aboard U-134, a Type 7 Sea U-boat, he quickly learns the harsh realities of submarine warfare. With a crew of 49 men sharing cramped quarters and battling not just the enemy, but the unforgiving confines of their vessel, the experience becomes a test of endurance. Misery becomes the norm as they face sweltering heat, toxic diesel fumes, and the constant threat of enemy destroyers lurking above. In this gripping narrative, we'll dive into the suffocating atmosphere of a U-boat and share Hans' poignant experiences of life beneath the waves, revealing the sacrifices and struggles that define the men of the German Navy in their relentless pursuit of victory. Join us as we uncover the stark realities faced by these soldiers who waged total war from the depths of the sea, and discover what it truly meant to serve aboard a U-boat during one of history's most turbulent periods. The U-boat submarine campaign during World War II was a crucial component of the German war effort, nearly bringing Great Britain to its knees. But what was it really like aboard a U-boat as they waged total war in the Atlantic? Meet Hans Fischer, a young man born just outside of Lübeck in northern Germany. Growing up near the sea, Hans always had a fascination with the ocean. When the war erupted in 1939, he was only 17, working as an apprentice mechanic. By 1941, as his education came to an end, Hans faced a pivotal choice: wait for conscription by the Wehrmacht or take matters into his own hands and enlist in the Kriegsmarine. The thought of freezing to death in Russia was unappealing, so he decided to join the German Navy. After enlisting, Hans went to basic training and quickly volunteered for submarine service, drawn by the allure of patriotism and youthful optimism. Despite his awareness of the risks, Hans felt compelled to ride the waves of history. Given his mechanical background, he was deemed an ideal candidate for a U-boat service and underwent 3 months of basic training at the port of Kiel. The discipline was strict, but Hans learned the ropes of submarine life hands-on, initially training on a small Type 2 SA coastal patrol sub. Upon graduation, he was assigned to U-134, a Type 7 Sea U-boat known as the workhorse of the Kriegsmarine. Between 1938 and 1944, 568 Type 7 U-boats were built, and this particular model boasted a length of 220 feet, roughly 67 meters, and a displacement of around 761 tons when surfaced. Armed with 5 torpedo tubes, 4 in the bow and 1 in the stern and deck guns, U-134 was crewed by 49 men, including Hans, who was assigned to the engine room. The Type 7C was capable of generating 3,200 horsepower through its diesel engines, which Hans would maintain. While submerged, electric motors propelled the vessel, but once underway, the grim realities of life aboard a U-boat set in. Serving on U-134 would quickly prove to be one of the most miserable ways to spend a war. With 48 other men occupying close quarters, concepts like personal space and privacy faded into distant memories. The crew's comfort was an alien concept. They made do with what little room was available, often sleeping in the engine room or torpedo room due to the lack of bunks. The cramped environment forced the crew to adopt hot bunking, where they shared bunks and rested in shifts while conducting their 8-hour duty cycles. The captain's quarters was the only area providing a semblance of privacy, divided from the crew by a simple plywood screen or fabric curtain. With 2 diesel engines generating substantial heat, temperatures inside the U-boat could soar beyond 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius, especially in the engine room conditions that added greatly to Hans' misery as he labored under intense heat and diesel fumes. Hygiene aboard U-134 was virtually non-existent. Space was so limited that a dedicated shower area was deemed unnecessary. Crew members were rationed to half a bucket of water per day strictly for drinking, and bathing was out of the question. Within a short time, oil, grease, and sweat would coat their clothes and skin, and a single shared toilet served the entire crew. Grooming was a luxury, and Hans soon found himself sporting a scraggly beard as shaving became an impossible task. After several exhausting hours in the engine room, it was time for Hans to eat. Food was stored all around the ship, crammed into every available space, and he often had to dodge smoked sausages hanging from the pipes. Yet no matter what he consumed, every bite tasted like diesel fuel. The pervasive fumes permeated everything, leaving an acrid aftertaste that haunted his meals. As they operated above water, the crew would take turns using binoculars and an open hatch to scan the horizon for enemy ships while remaining alert for aircraft. Though Hans wasn't part of these lookout teams, the brief time spent on the surface allowed for a little relief from the suffocating confines of the submarine. For a fleeting moment, he imagined the refreshing brush of fresh air on his face, a sensation that felt almost surreal amid the stifling heat. Living aboard U-134 was a continuous cycle of cramped quarters, sweltering heat, and unpleasant odors. Each daily routine became a struggle, driving home the harsh realities of what life beneath the waves truly entailed. Imagine this: you're sealed inside a steel tube, hundreds of feet beneath the waves, with the crushing pressure of the ocean all around you. This was the reality for tens of thousands of young men who served in Germany's U-boat fleet during World War II. Today, we're diving deep into the life of a U-boat sailor, a world of claustrophobia, constant danger, and incredible tension. From the moment they left port, their world shrank to the confines of the submarine. These iron coffins, as they were sometimes called, were incredibly cramped. A typical Type 7 U-boat, the workhorse of the German Navy, was just over 200 feet long, but most of that space was taken up by diesel engines, electric motors, torpedoes, and batteries. About 50 men lived on top of each other. There were not enough bunks for everyone, so sailors had to hot bunk, meaning as one man got up for his watch, another would take his warm spot. Privacy was a luxury that simply didn't exist. There were usually only 2 toilets for the entire crew, and one was often used to store extra food supplies as a patrol wore on. Fresh water was strictly rationed, mainly for drinking and cooking, so washing was out of the question. After just a few weeks at sea, the air inside the U-boat would become a foul mix of diesel fumes, unwashed bodies, cooking smells, and the lingering stench from the toilets. It was a sensory assault that new recruits had to quickly get used to. Their diet was monotonous. At the start of a patrol, they might enjoy fresh bread, sausages, and some vegetables. But soon they were down to canned goods and hardtack. The bread would get moldy, and the humidity inside the boat made everything damp. It was a tough existence, but for these sailors, it was their day-to-day reality. The crew was a tight-knit unit, a brotherhood forged in extreme conditions. Every man had a critical role. There were the engineers, the black gang who kept the powerful diesel engines running on the surface and the silent electric motors running when submerged. Their skill was the difference between life and death. Then there were the radio operators and hydrophone listeners, the ears of the U-boat. Their job was to listen for the faint propeller noises of enemy ships, a sound that could mean either a target or a hunter. And of course, there was the watch crew in the control room and on the conning tower. The captain, or the old man as he was known regardless of his age, held ultimate responsibility. His decisions determined the fate of everyone on board. The tension in the control room during an attack was something few of us can truly comprehend. When a target was spotted, the mood on the boat would shift instantly. The calm routine would shatter, replaced by a focused electric energy. Alarm! The klaxon would blare, and men would scramble to their action stations. The U-boat would dive, becoming a silent predator beneath the waves. The hydrophone operator would be glued to his headset, tracking the target's every move, feeding information to the captain. The captain would be at the periscope, a thin metal tube that was their only eye to the world above. He'd call out bearings, speed, and range estimates. The torpedo mechanics would be readying the eels, their deadly weapons. The calculations had to be perfect. They weren't just aiming at a ship. They were aiming at a specific point in the ocean where they predicted the ship would be in a few minutes' time. Then the command, "Loss, fire!" A surge of compressed air would shoot the torpedo out of its tube. The U-boat would lurch slightly, and then the waiting. It was the most nerve-wracking part. The crew would count the seconds, listening, praying. A successful hit would be marked by a dull, distant thud, followed by the sound of the ship breaking apart, transmitted through the water. For the crew, it was a moment of grim satisfaction. They had done their job. But this success often came at a terrible cost for the sailors on the receiving end. However, celebration was always short-lived, because a successful attack almost always meant one thing: retaliation. As soon as a torpedo struck, Allied escort ships, destroyers, and corvettes would race to the scene. Their hunt for the U-boat would begin. This is when the U-boat sailor's world transformed from a hunter's paradise to a living nightmare. The command, Tief Tauchen, deep dive, would send the U-boat plunging into the abyss, sometimes to depths that tested the very limits of its construction. The hull would creak and groan under the immense pressure, with bolts sometimes shooting across the compartments like bullets. The crew would fall silent. Any unnecessary noise could give away their position. Men would often take off their shoes and walk in socks to muffle their footsteps. Then came the terrifying sound of the destroyer's sonar, the ping, ping, that echoed through the hull. It was the sound of a predator systematically searching for them. Each ping sent a shiver down their spines. They were the hunted, trapped in a metal can, blind and helpless. And then the depth charges. The first indication would be the high-pitched whine of the destroyer's propellers passing directly overhead. The crew would brace themselves. The explosions would rock the U-boat violently, throwing men around. Lights would flicker and shatter, pipes would burst, and water would spray into the compartments. The boat would be plunged into darkness, the only light coming from emergency lamps. The air would fill with the smell of ozone from electrical shorts. It was psychological warfare at its most brutal. The crew could do nothing but endure, repair damage as best they could, and hope the captain could maneuver them to safety. They might stay submerged for hours, even days, the air growing stale and thin, the batteries running dangerously low. This was the true test of a sailor's nerve. The fear was constant, a cold companion in the dark. The casualty rate for U-boat crews was astronomical. Out of approximately 40,000 men who served, around 30,000 never returned. It was one of the most dangerous assignments of the entire war. Every time they left port, they knew there was a very high chance they would not see their homes or families again. Their final resting place would be the cold, dark floor of the Atlantic, yet they continued to sail. Why? For many, it was a sense of duty, patriotism, and camaraderie with their crewmates. They were fighting for their country and for the men by their side. In the isolated world of the U-boat, the crew became their family. They relied on each other completely for survival. The experience of a U-boat sailor was a unique and harrowing chapter in naval history. It was a life of extreme contrasts, the boredom of long patrols punctuated by moments of intense terror and adrenaline. It was a world of darkness, pressure, and fear, but also one of incredible skill, bravery, and unbreakable bonds between men facing death together. Their story is a powerful reminder of the human cost of war, fought by ordinary individuals thrust into extraordinary and terrifying circumstances. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the life of a U-boat sailor. If you found this journey into history fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the past. Let us know in the comments what piece of history you'd like us to explore next. Until then, stay curious.